I worked 3 summers as a camp counselor. I don't do it anymore. These are the 3 reasons why. Story 1. The Shadow in the Closet. The summer of 2019. Camp Ridgewater, a sleepaway camp in rural Oregon for kids aged 10 to 14. I was 22. Fresh out of college, I thought it would be fun. I was assigned to cabin 7. 8 boys, ages 12 and 13. Good kids, loud kids, normal kids. The first week was fine. The second week, one of the boys, a quiet kid named Ethan, came to me after lights out. He said he kept hearing footsteps outside the cabin at night. Heavy ones, walking slowly around the perimeter. I told him it was probably deer or another counselor doing rounds. I told him to go back to sleep. I should have listened to him. 4 nights later, at exactly 1 a.m., every single boy in that cabin started screaming. I ran in from the counselor's room, switched on the lights. 8 boys, all pointing at the same corner, the closet. The door was slightly open, and in the gap between the door and the frame, something was standing there, tall, dark, too tall to be human, head almost touching the ceiling, breathing, slow, deep, deliberate. I grabbed a flashlight and approached the closet. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold it. I pulled the door open, empty, but the breathing hadn't stopped. It was coming from the hallway now. I stepped into the hallway. At the far end, silhouetted against the window, was a figure, 7 feet tall, standing completely still, head slightly tilted to one side. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. Then it turned and walked straight through the window, not breaking the glass, not opening it, through it. We called the camp director. We called the police. They searched the woods for 3 hours. They found footprints, size 17 shoes, leading from the cabin to the tree line. Then nothing, like whatever made them simply stopped existing. Ethan never came back to camp. I don't blame him. Story 2. The Abandoned Cabin. This one happened the following summer. Different camp. Camp Evergreen in upstate New York. There was a cabin on the edge of the property that no one used. The older counselors called it the Gray Cabin. The story was that in the 1970s, a counselor had gone mad during a terrible storm. The details were always vague. The outcome was not. 3 campers died. The counselor was never found. Nobody went near the Gray Cabin. That was the unspoken rule. On my 3rd night there, some of the older campers decided to play truth or dare around the bonfire. A 16-year-old girl named Madison got dared to spend 10 minutes alone inside the Gray Cabin. She laughed it off and walked in. She did not walk back out. After 12 minutes, we went to check on her. The door was locked from the inside. We could hear her inside. She wasn't screaming. She was completely silent. But we could hear her breathing, fast and shallow, like she was in shock. We broke the door down. Madison was standing in the center of the room, eyes open, not moving, not responding to her name. When she finally came around 20 minutes later, she told us what happened. She said as soon as the door closed, the temperature dropped so fast she could see her breath. Then she heard footsteps on the floor above her, running back and forth for the entire 12 minutes. There was no second floor. When she tried to leave, the door locked by itself, and she felt 2 hands on her shoulders from behind, holding her in place. She said the hands were ice cold, and they held her there until we broke the door down. The Gray Cabin was demolished the following week. The camp director never gave a reason. Story 3. The Owl Mask. This one didn't happen to me directly. It happened to my friend Jake, who managed a Christian summer camp in rural Tennessee. The last night of the final session, all the kids had gone home. Jake was alone on the property doing final checks before closing up for the year. At 11 p.m., the motion sensor lights outside the main lodge turned on. Jake looked through the window. A man was standing at the edge of the tree line, wearing a white owl mask. Just standing there, staring at the building, Jake called out through the glass, asked who was there. The man didn't answer. He just slowly walked toward the building. Jake locked the doors and called 911. While he was on the phone, the man reached the glass door of the lodge and began knocking. Slowly, deliberately. Then he spoke. He said, "I just want to show you something. I have something in my bag for you." Jake told the 911 operator. The operator told him not to open the door under any circumstances. The man knocked for 11 more minutes. Then he walked back into the tree line and disappeared. Police arrived 20 minutes later and searched the woods. They found the owl mask hanging from a tree branch, and underneath it, a backpack. Inside, the BA